starboard. Ship is grounding.
Full thrust starboard, grounding.
Checking watertight doors. Activating master switch.
Captain, we have flooding in compartment 1. Flooding in compartment 1.
Okay, one compartment flooding.
Accidents like this have happened. Because of the closed watertight door in the bulkhead, the water is contained in the watertight compartment and the ship is saved. All ships have safety barriers to protect against events such as collisions, grounding or other incidents causing flooding and the loss of watertight integrity. Watertight bulkheads and compartments are critical for the ship's stability and survivability, protecting against capsizing and sinking. Without doors installed in the bulkheads, crew would have to move and goods be transported up and down between decks in order to move through the different compartments of the ship. This is one of the reasons why watertight doors are installed to let crew and goods move easily through the ship. But what are the risks involved? If you open up a watertight door, or leave the door open when the ship is at sea, even only for a minute, you remove a safety barrier and put the ship and its crew and passengers at risk. That is why it's of the utmost importance to close the door after passing through while at sea. Also, for the safety of the user, it's very important to operate the door in the correct way. The officer seen here should not let go of the handle while passing through the door. But he is correctly closing the door after having passed through. If you do not fully understand how a power-operated watertight door behaves and operates, you may be putting yourself at risk because of the danger of crushing injuries. If you try to pass through a door that is moving or has been set from the bridge to close automatically. Failure of watertight barriers has led to a loss of stability, capsizing and sinking after a breach of the hull or during an internal leak. Let's see what can happen to a large ship when the doors are left open and the flooding continues into the next compartment. A closed or open door may be the difference between maintaining stability and buoyancy and a major accident. Ships and offshore units are designed and operated according to rules and regulations. The Safety of Life at Sea Convention requires that the number of watertight doors shall be kept to a minimum, and most importantly, the watertight doors shall be kept closed while at sea. However, on passenger ships, the regulators may allow for certain predefined watertight doors to be opened while at sea if considered absolutely necessary. This may be if the open door is essential to the safe operation of the machinery, to permit passage of passengers and crew, or to permit work in the immediate vicinity. In all other vessel types, the general rule is to keep all watertight doors closed while at sea. It is not permitted to in any way block the doors, as this will obstruct the closing of the doors in an emergency situation and jeopardize the safety barrier. As we have seen, the officers on the bridge will activate the master mode switch in an emergency situation by switching the control of the doors from local control to doors closed mode. This will automatically close any watertight door that is open and thereby restore the function of the door as a watertight barrier and save the ship from flooding. Power-operated watertight doors are designed to close with a pressure of several tons in order to prevent leaks, but also to crush light debris that potentially could block the door from closing in an emergency. This, of course, represents a totally different scenario than what you may be used to with other types of power-operated doors. Elevator doors are designed to close by low force and even stop when meeting obstacles, while power-operated watertight doors are designed to close with high force and always close. Passing through a moving door in this manner may put your life at risk and is not permitted. You are breaking the safety rules. The correct procedure is to not pass through a door before it is fully open, and always to hold onto the handle while passing through. There are many reported cases of crew getting trapped in the door, resulting in serious injuries such as amputations, crushed lungs, or head injuries. Some also resulting in death. Everyone involved in operating the ship should be aware of the dangers and risks associated with power-operated watertight doors. That is why GARD and DNVGL want to bring to your attention some of the essential and highly important factors related to these types of doors. Power-operated watertight doors are sliding doors, and they can be operated in different ways. Opening and closing separately by local manual operation, or closing all doors simultaneously remotely from the bridge. The doors closed mode shall only be used in an emergency situation or under careful consideration during testing. On some types of ships, for example on passenger ships, they can also be closed from a dedicated station above the bulkhead deck, in case closing the door remotely from the bridge does not work. There are two main categories of watertight doors. Hydraulic doors, driven by a pressurized hydraulic oil system. In case of a blackout, there is locally stored energy built into the door system, allowing for 3 movements of the door. In addition, it's possible to operate the door manually, using a hand pump located next to the door. The second category is electric doors driven by electric motors. They are equipped with a battery backup power, allowing for 3 movements of the door in case of a blackout, and a hand-powered generator for local emergency operation. It is important that instructions on how to operate the door are located on or next to the door and explain its proper use. We have seen examples where the crew has sabotaged the door's alarm system, physically blocked the door from closing, or manipulated the closing speed in order to save time. Signs with instruction have also been painted over inadvertently. It can never be repeated often enough that passing through the door while it is opening or closing is dangerous. If the door moves, you do not. Also, remember to always hold on to one of the handles while passing through the door. If you have to pass through the door using normal local operation, it is of the utmost importance that you close the door after you. In an emergency situation, when the doors are closed using the master switch from the bridge, an audible, and in some cases a visual alarm at the door will sound some 5 to 10 seconds before the door starts to close and during closing. Remember to consider alternative routes before passing through a closed watertight door. It's important to be familiar with the onboard safety procedures and escape routes of your ship. Watertight doors might also have a fire containment function. It is part of a firewall to prevent fire or smoke from spreading to other parts of the ship. There are many industry people involved in the safe operation, design and manufacture of power-operated watertight doors. Manufacturers of watertight doors constantly seek to improve the safety functions and reliability of their doors. Designers and yards, in cooperation with operators, are responsible for designing ships with as few watertight doors as possible, ensuring there are practical alternative routes, and designing the ship to avoid the necessity of having doors open while at sea. Safety officers and shoreside staff are responsible for the preparation of the onboard safety procedures and emergency response procedures for the watertight doors. Regulatory bodies such as the IMO, flag state, port state and class societies are also involved. DNVGL will consider the watertight doors when approving a ship's drawings and make sure they are tested and fully operational before a ship is delivered, and subsequently at every annual and 5-year survey. All crew members need to be familiar with the ship's procedures for operating and safely passing through watertight doors to avoid injury, and to ensure that they are kept closed when they should be. This ensures that the ship is always prepared for a major accident scenario.
All watertight doors checked and confirmed closed.
Deck officers are responsible for verifying before departure that the doors that must be closed are actually closed and are kept closed during the voyage. The officer on watch is responsible for ensuring that the master mode switch is set to the normal setting of local control to avoid the doors posing a danger to the personnel. The engine officers on board are responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of the doors. There should be specific procedures for these doors set out in the maintenance system, and these procedures need to be followed.
Here is the job or the watertight door.
The aim of loss prevention from insurers such as GARD is to advise on the measures necessary to reduce risks. By sharing knowledge on best practices and creating awareness, the purpose is to prevent casualties arising in the first place. Cross-industry cooperation and knowledge sharing is a must for continuous improvement of power-operated watertight doors as a safe system to protect the vessel and the people who use them. Power-operated watertight doors are most typically found in the crew quarters, engine rooms and service areas below the bulkhead deck of large cruise vessels, ro-ro and ro-pax vessels, on offshore vessels below the bulkhead deck, which is normally the main deck, and in the legs, pontoons and main deck of mobile offshore units. The watertight doors in engine rooms and service areas may be opened several hundred times per day on some cruise vessels, increasing the wear and tear of the mechanical components and electronic systems. It is of utmost importance that the door's planned maintenance system is complete and up to date.
Okay, thank you.
The training regime and familiarization for the crew members who operate watertight doors should focus both on the risk of a major accident, that is, ensuring internal watertight integrity in case of accident, and on minimizing the risk of injury of personnel. Today's vessels are equipped with an array of safety and navigation equipment, thanks to an innovative maritime industry. Although the regulations permit the installation of doors in a ship's watertight bulkheads, they also emphasize that the number of such watertight doors should be as few as possible and limited to those needed to ensure good working conditions on board. Each individual watertight door will therefore act as an important safety barrier for the ship, and since the doors are manually operated, the human factor, together with maintenance and operational routines, will always play a vital role in the safe use of the doors. We have seen what may happen in the worst-case scenario, if the watertight doors are not kept closed while at sea and the hull is breached. We have seen how correct operation is crucial. Under no circumstances should watertight doors be set to close faster than the maximum allowable speed. We have seen how the door may represent a danger when passing through a moving door. Always open the door fully before passing through. Simply by considering some simple questions, risks may be reduced and human awareness increased. Are the watertight doors watertight and kept closed while at sea? Are the onboard safety procedures and maintenance procedures compatible with the door design and the frequency of use? Is the crew familiar with the weekly drills, how to pass through the doors safely, and the change in behavior of the doors when in remote mode? By raising the awareness of power-operated watertight doors, GARD and DNVGL hope the maritime industry will establish and follow best practices. Further information can be obtained from GARD or DNVGL in the form of educational seminars and in the form of an in-depth video presentation identifying the major risks, technical and operational issues, a case study for onboard safety meetings and work orders highlighting the maintenance and verifications needed at weekly, monthly and yearly intervals.